Okay. And we should be live. I will need to move my microphone a bit so it's actually, like, in front of my mouth properly. Also, I just realized I'm sitting kind of low. Do we got a pillow? I do have a pillow down here I can put under my butt. It's, actually... a Super Mario pillow, you see. I got it for Christmas a couple of years back. I use it for my back normally. But today it is for my butt. That's a bit better. Not perfect, but that's a bit better. Oof. Alright, let me finish blasting everyone on my list, letting them know that I am, in fact, live. Let's pop this here. Up. They'll want to know. Let's see. I won't put it there, simply because they're still upset about Fishblade. I will put it in Marioverse, because eventually I will be talking about Mario. I should probably have a list of topics that I intend to cover today. I'm now realizing how much extra space there is up here, but if I lower the camera any... I'll end up going too far, and then we'll be in the exact opposite issue. No, it's actually better. I actually prefer that. Let's see here. I need to put it in Raglan's group. Let's see here. Subjects live. Normally I do all this on my phone, but the phone is currently acting as a webcam. So, as you can see, brought to you by DroidCam OBS. It was this or no better camera quality than my normal webcam, so I went with it. I'll spend the $10 to get it upgraded eventually. Especially if we do this more frequently. Self-promotion in here. Self-promotion in there. And I think that's all the places that I'm allowed to self-promote myself. And of course, I'm not going to self-promote myself. Honestly, actually, the reason why no one's here is because they're all watching Tegan's stream. What a fool I am. When did they go live? Have they already gone live? Did they already go live? No, they haven't gone live yet. But they will. Oh, they will. Why does the thing still say plumbers in space? I updated it, didn't I? I thought I updated it. But no. Okay. Fair due. Fair due. Let me see here. Okay. And now we simply wait. Now we simply wait. You know what? I got all this set up, and I didn't get myself a glass of water. I'm an idiot. Hold on. Let's do a couple of things first. First of all, I want a new text source. Let's see here. Scene shader text. Create new. Alright. Today's... Ooh, that's large. That's large and in charge. Let's make you significantly smaller. Well, now you're too small. Can't have it both ways, gotta. There we go. Today's topics. I can text. Hey, Rocky. Yes, it is in fact Fleshgata. He very rarely appears, but this is who we're talking with today. Cats, can you fucking not? God damn it. OGL, BS, UG. Let's see here. Mario TTRPG project. And then, my cool new books. You cannot get, no, you cannot get Henbert to praise me at the moment. I turned off most of my stuff simply because, like, I don't really know how to explain to you guys how intricate the fucking bot setup is to make Henbert work the way he does. Also, I just realized that moving my this makes everything jiggle, so I have to make sure my elbow is off the desk when I gesture with my hands. I'm a very big hand talker. But no, Hembird is so fucking, like, intricate trying to make him work that changing anything, like, if I turn anything off trying to make him work for this stream in particular, I'm going to end up spending hours trying to get it to work again for the next stream, and I'd rather not deal with that. So Henbird is, let's see, he's down this corner. He's just, I can't properly pat him, but he's my son, my beautiful son. I love him so much. I set all this up, and then I forgot to get a glass of water. So can you guys behave yourselves for like 5 minutes? Not even 5 minutes, like 30 seconds, so I can go get myself a glass of water. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Don't peek at my dirty house. My wife will hate me if you see the house. Nope, just stay right there. Just don't go anywhere. Alright, I have a glass of water. I placed it within my enclosure. Can you see my PJ pants? No, you actually cannot see my PJ pants. If I had not said anything, you would not know that I am wearing PJ pants. You know what? I probably should have pressed the button and made it play ads for those 30 seconds. I have a button for that now. Hey! Aaron MFK is now following. Thank you so much for the follow. You get a jolly jangle of the cheer bell, and I think the button will still work if I press it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. You jumped in just as I disappeared like the Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the farmer behind the curtain. But now I have my my Southern style mason jar drinking mug. You did not realize it was a real bell. Yes, this was actually a Christmas gift about 3 years ago. When I first started switching over to like heavily farmer themed stuff, it's an actual bell that I actually jangle, and my wife fucking hates it. She can't stand this thing. She loves that it's on brand, but also, okay, I'm gonna rotate in my seat, and I sit over here. Okay, this is more centered in the screen. Okay, fantastic. We never do this. For those of you who don't know, I'm normally a VTuber, for anyone who's new. We don't do a whole lot of, like, flesh gotta chats, so I'm a little, unsure of how to exactly run this. So basically, we're going to talk about the things that are listed up here. These are the things that I'm fired up about. And however the conversation spins on, we'll go from there. Ask me anything. I'll be keeping an eye on chat. And hopefully, this will be entertaining. First of all, howdy farmhands, my name is Gata. Welcome to the stream. Just spill the tea, just go right into it. Just spill the tea. Okay. For context, for those of you who don't know, for those of you who are watching the VOD probably, I am a tabletop role-playing game designer. I am very active in the Twitter TTRPG space, mostly as a lurker. Not a lot of people actually know who I am. I've released a couple of games. I'm working on something that I'm planning on printing myself properly. But I am adjacent to all of the weird bullshit that's been going on in the industry over the past couple of weeks. I'm not going to recap what's going on with the OGL, but I have, aside from Twitter, I'm very vocal on Twitter. I've been very quiet about it on stream. And a lot of people during streams have been asking me to give my input. And I have been refraining. I have been behaving. I've been a good Gata. I've been doing my best. And I have not gone off about it. So this is kind of like the one space where I'm going to be like, yes, okay, you have questions, you want to know what I think, this is where I'm going to talk about it. Granted, of course, I did it on a Tuesday, when most of the people who watch me are watching Impossible Coin, so no one in that camp is actually, like, physically here to ask me, so I don't... couldn't plan this better, frankly. The short and long of it is... the OGL sucks. The OGL has always sucked. And the biggest issue for me vis-a-vis Dungeons & Dragons and the OGL is how this is what got people to switch, right? Like, there has been a new scandal vis-a-vis Dungeons and Dragons, I feel every 3 months. Every time there's a new book coming out, there are multiple articles. Will this be a VOD for posterity? Yes. It's not sponsored, but pay attention to DroidCam OBS, I guess. They brought to you by DroidCam, I guess. This will be a VOD, so you can dip if you want. I have been very vocal about my distaste for Wizards as a company. I am not surprised that they are trying to rug pull the entire industry. My only surprise is how blatant that rug pull is. Obviously, a lot of that has to do with Hasbro being the one behind it all, right? Like, the people at Wizards are many things, but they're not stupid. Like, if they wanted to grab more control over the industry, I mean, they were going to eventually. This was bound to happen. The only reason why this is so big and bombastic now is because Hasbro executives were involved and they wanted all the money immediately. So the requirements are completely ridiculous. They're almost cartoonishly villain level of bullshit. It's a little closer. And I feel like if they had tried to reach this exact same... Okay, let's back it up a little bit. The original leaked document of 1.1, of the OGL 1.1, that is their... that is what they want. That is the end goal. That is what they would like the industry to be. Okay? Like, straight up. Like, mask off. That's the control they want. However, I know that Wizards is not stupid enough to make a big sweeping motion to go from an actual open gaming license to that extreme, right? This was Hasbro's doing. Hasbro's the one who said, "Oh, we want all the control, we want it now." This is on them. This is on them. But this end goal is bad, and Wizards would have gotten us there eventually. My personal opinion is that they were going to slowly boil the frog so it wouldn't hop out of the pot over the course of 6E's lifespan. Now that 5E is basically a household name in the households that matter, boiling the frog to claw that control back from the community was always in the cards. It was always the plan. I have no doubt in my mind that the 1.1 document, as written, was the intended end goal. Hello, Jen. Welcome to the stream. Twitch got stuck on the commercial break in progress screen for so long for me. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. And I see Captain Common Geek is lurking while commuting. Hello. Hello. But yeah, the actual information that was in the leaked OGL 1.1 and even the 1.2, even the updates, even the 2.0, the changes that have been made make absolute sense to me. Wizards always wanted this level of control. They tried it in 4th edition. Like, this is just history repeating itself. They originally booted the original OGL, at the end of 3rd edition and had a more restrictive document for 4th edition. That didn't work out so well. 4th edition blew. So when they released 5th edition, they just went back and updated the original the SRD attached to the OGL and said, "Hey, you guys liked the OGL. That worked out fine for us, right?" Yes, it did. So now 5th edition has all this popularity, and now they're doing the exact same thing again. They're trying to grab that control back from the community, and it's not working out for them. With 4th edition in particular, there was such a massive change between the mechanics of 3, 3.5, and then 4, that the main issue wasn't that people were upset about the more restrictive license. Like, there wasn't like a backlash like this about the OGL when they tried to retract it last time. It was more a matter of taste. People wanted to stay playing 3 and 3.5. That's why Pathfinder exists. And 4th edition having a more restrictive license was really just a nail in the coffin, because not only was it a hard sell to convert people from 3rd edition 3.5 to 4th edition, especially once Pathfinder started printing their books, it was hard for other publishers to fluff up 4th edition and make it look more appealing. That's primarily what the OGL has done for 5th edition. It's by allowing people to reproduce a bunch of content that normally wouldn't sell in a larger market. They fluff up the library of 5th edition to make it look more appealing to prospective gamers. That's why 5e has so much popularity as it does now. I'm probably just saying stuff you already know. Like, this isn't anything new. This is literally, you're watching a white guy with a microphone tell you what everyone has already been saying for 2 weeks as though it's new, as though my opinion is any different on it. I'm just getting us to the right point. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Where was I? Hating on Wizards of the Coast. Yes, perfect. No, the goal stated in 1.1 were always the end goal, one way or another, and even now, one way or another, they will attempt to claw that level of control back from the community. Oh, my beautiful wife is home. Jen says, it sorta is funny how all the news on this is being presented by white guys with microphones. It's Dungeons and Dragons. What did you expect? No, what's really funny is that it's the white guys with microphones who are making YouTube videos when it was a non-binary journalist who broke the original story. Lynn Kodega. Darling? Yeah. You called me? No, oh, okay. Hi, love you. You want to join my podcast? My beautiful wife is going to come. The camera is on, by the way. She'll come by in a second. Now, it's no secret that, like, the target demographic for Dungeons and Dragons has been middle-aged white guys since its inception. So, you know, and I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, but the majority of the large people in the TTRPGS, in the D&D space in particular, that have big brand names around them, they tend to be a certain demographic, you know? Listen, I don't know. But no, that's pretty much it. What bothers me about the OGL isn't that Wizard did it. I thought it was a foregone conclusion. I thought it would happen eventually. I am not upset that people are upset about the content. The content deserves to be upset about. People deserve to be mad that this company is trying to destroy their own fucking community out of some misguided attempt to squeeze more blood from the stone, right? Like that's not what I'm upset about. What upsets me the most? What upsets me the most? The two things that upset me the most. One, that this is what got people to start ditching D&D. I've been following D&D since 2020, 2019. I had a brief 6 months where I was absolutely in love with the idea. I fell into the trap of believing that 5th edition was the best game because it was the biggest one. So I did an autism hyperfixation for 6 months, and then I closed the book at the end of those 6 months and said, oh, actually this is shit and I can do it much better. And then I did, but that's neither here nor there. Now, what really upsets me is that it's been decades. It's been like 50 years since this game first launched, okay? And the people who are playing now, there is a long storied history of fucky shit happening with and around this game. I don't even, like, a laundry list. There's individuals who still work for the company who are sexual assault apologists, who have protected people who were people in their company who were accused of sexual assault at conventions. Individuals defended that individual, and they still work for Wizards of the Coast despite that. They're still part of the company. They're still making the game. The various accusations of racism against individuals who work for them. If you follow Orion Black on Twitter, they don't talk about it much these days, but they had a very bad experience working for Wizards of the Coast where their writing was directly plagiarized by the person in charge of them in their department. A lot of hiring practices where basically they're doing tokenism. They hire people of different color skin because they want to check off a box, you know? It's not great. And then the basic racism that's like in the game. There's a lot of examples where like a lot of stuff in this game comes from a racist location, a racist point. And even though like this is common knowledge to everyone on the internet, you can Google it. They will not remove or edit those things to not anger a certain contingent of their fan base. Which from a business standpoint, yeah, that makes sense. But also it's rainbow capitalism. They want to sell to people, as many people as possible, So they'll ride that line between socially acceptable and not for as long as they possibly can. And despite all of that being well documented and shared around the internet for years, this is what got the large majority of D&D players to actually consider dropping it when it directly affected them. And that sucks. That's all I really have to say on it. That sucks. It sucks. It sucks. The second thing that upsets me, though, is as someone who... That is how it goes. Yeah, no. Breaking news. White man finds out society. Society. We happen to live in one of those. We do happen to live in one of those. As someone who produces tabletop role-playing games, that is how the capitalism cookie crumbles. Yeah, it's bullshit. And it's hilarious how the majority of people who are leaving Dungeons & Dragons are pivoting or swinging from one vine to the next. They're all going over to Paizo. Okay? Paizo's not all sunshine and rainbows either. They only just got a union because the higher-ups were accused of having terrible working conditions. They just got a union and they still haven't gotten all the things they wanted, for crying out loud. The ones with famously clean carpets. Exactly. To say nothing of the fact that if you're a Pathfinder fan, you're going to bristle at this, all right? But Pathfinder and D&D are basically the same thing. Like, yeah, there are differences. There are differences in design intent. There's differences in the lore. There's differences in the art. There's differences in the kind of products they make. But at its heart, at its core, it's basically just Dungeons & Dragons, but slightly different. Pathfinder 1 is just Dungeons & Dragons 3.75. Yes, no, the original Pathfinder was just a tighter version of 3.5 for the audience of D&D players who didn't want to play 4th edition. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. People can have their games. A lot of the shit that I personally don't like about D&D still exists in Pathfinder. They're slightly better with the race stuff, just ever so slightly. But at its core, they've just gone from one game to the next. To say nothing of the fact that they've just gone from having their entire fan base, their entire industry rug pulled by a corporation, and the first thought was, let's all give all our money to a different corporation. It's smaller, but it's still a corporation. Like, what the fuck, guys? What the fuck? But people want to go after what's familiar. And again, Pathfinder is basically Dungeons & Dragons, so if you're having to drop Dungeons & Dragons, you want to go for something that's familiar. It's human nature. It's human nature. I hate it. It was just made by a bunch of people from Dragon Magazine who didn't think 3.5 went far enough and didn't like 4th edition. More power to them. More power to them. I have nothing personally against Paizo or any individuals at Paizo, only because I don't know enough about Paizo to care. They've always just been the lesser D&D to me, the smaller fish in Wizards of the Coast Big Pond, and I've been more concerned about the bigger fish in the pond all these years, so now I gotta worry about other stuff. Also, fucking Paizo's doing a victory lap on Twitter right now. They're using hashtags that are like Paizo fam or Paizo community. We did it. They've ordered an additional printing of their hardcover books because apparently brick and mortar stores are selling out of them so quickly that they're like, we need more of your core rule books because there's so many people who want to play Pathfinder. And it's like, why? Like, yes, you have come out on top of this immediate kerfluffle, but also MCDM is making their own game system. Kobold Press is making their own game system. They haven't released those books yet. There's no telling if Paizo will actually be the next D&D, the next tentpole everyone swings to. But they're acting as if it's a foregone conclusion already. Can't wait for the MCDM TTRPG. Do I say hot takes about Matt Koval live on stream? Do I do that? There's been nothing bad, right? Nothing that I myself am not a victim of. Matt Koval is a white guy with a microphone. He's a very smart man. He runs his company well. I love the things he has to say about playing Dungeons and Dragons on YouTube. But from the previews that we've been... Oh, my beautiful wife has interrupted my hot take. Hello?
Hello, I need your assistance, tall man.
You need my assistance, tall man. What's up?
There is some shampoo for the dog, for Mimi's dog.
For Mimi's dog.
And the top shelf.
Okay.
And I can't reach it.
Okay. I suppose I can do that. Microphone's here, camera's there.
Okay, I'll talk to everybody.
Talk to everybody while I get it.
Just everybody.
Lots of people. Wonder Walleye's here. Jun's here. Sheila's here. Bandit's here. Be right back.
Hi, everybody. I just got home from work. I was talking about it. It's all he talks about. Very top cabinet. Yeah, it's in an unmarked bottle. Sorry. Work was slow. It was really slow today. Did a lot of deep cleaning. I did go to the park early this morning because they were like, you don't need to come in till later instead of your original 7 o'clock. So I went to the park and it was really low tide. And so I got to walk on the sandbar and just kind of hang out. I got to read overlooking the water. It was really nice. It was kind of a really relaxing morning. And then, of course, I had to go to work, unfortunately. And it was slow. And I would have, as much as I need my hours, I would rather them have been like, just don't come in. Because I was also the first one to go home today, so. He talks about Power Rangers sometimes. That's true. He does talk about Power Rangers sometimes. I did some homework on the clock, which, but that's pretty cool. I got to do, yeah, at work I was doing some cleaning, like cleaning the cages and deep cleaning surgery.
Darling, there's no unmarked bottles anywhere in that cabinet. And there's nothing that looks like dog shampoo either.
Can you check in the bottom cabinets, the ones I can't reach?
Sure.
Thank
Do you know what color the bottle is?
It's a clear bottle and the shampoo's like tan, beige.
Okay.
Dog campaign, no dog. Dog shampoo. My twin sister got a dog, and I thought I had some dog shampoo that's like a medicated aloe and oatmeal shampoo for him to give. But maybe I threw it away. I don't know. It's been a while since we've had a dog, so it's been a while since I've had to use it. No, not really. Do you have to clean litter at work? No, not really. We have kennel staff who does that. I'm a vet nurse. So the kennel staff does a lot of the litter boxes and stuff like that. It's stinky, and then like all the particles from the litter box like get in your snooter. Yeah, I'm not a big litter box fan, but I'm also very anti outdoor cats, so.
No, darling, I don't see anything like that.
Maybe I threw it away.
Maybe you threw it away. We don't have a dog, so.
I know, okay. Watch me find it tomorrow.
Honestly, yeah, the moment you decide.
Can I show them my new pop?
Sure, you can show them.
You guys, I got this really cool new pop, and like, I'm not the biggest Funko Pop person, because I think they're kind of ugly, but they're so affordable and accessible, and oh my god, look at him.
Isn't he beautiful? Well, the reflection is on the...
How do I make that stop?
Tip it up slightly. A little more. Well, now the light's reflecting on it, but they got a good look of it. What's it from again?
This is from Jujutsu Kaisen.
And
so it's Sakuna, and he's big, and he's sitting on his throne. Oh my god! Okay, we'll leave you guys to the stinky man. You guys can talk about nerdy things while I go hang out with my sister. We're probably gonna watch JoJo. So JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
The dog or the show?
The show. Her dog's name is
Her
JoJo.
dog's name is JoJo.
As well, literally named after the anime JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. She was gonna name him Kujo after Jotaro's last name, also Jolene's last name. And I was like, you can't name a dog Kujo. You can't do it because they turn into a Kujo. So, like, you never name your oh my god, y'all, I have to tell you about this dog. I'm so sorry.
Go on.
We're doing a heartworm treatment on this beautiful pitty, and he's the sweetest hippopotamus I'd ever met. Oh my god, he's so sweet. Was actually a joke. Explain, Aaron. Explain. And then, but they named him Killer. They named this big old pit bull Killer. And he is the sweetest bean I have ever met. And they named him Killer. And, like, I don't agree with that because pit bulls already, have the, what is it called?
They have a bad rep.
Yeah, they have the bad rep.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't need that name. Let's see. But also, like, you don't name your dog things like that, like Cujo or Demon or Devil or anything. Loki. Never name your dog Loki. Oh my god. And because they will be mischievous. And people are like, why is my dog this way? Why is my cat this way? You named it after the god of mischief. What the heck did you expect? Or, like, they'll name him Thor. And then they're these big, dumb goofballs. And I don't know. I have thoughts and feelings on names.
Clearly.
And then you never, ever name your dog Lucky because it'll be the most unluckiest dog ever.
Mm-hmm.
Unluckiest dog ever. Happy's a pretty good name. I've met a couple Happies that are happy dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I go now.
All right.
I love you.
Kiss? Yeah. I love you so much.
I love you so much. Goodbye.
Mwah.
I'm gonna go to Mimi's.
Tell Mimi.
Bye, everybody.
and all them that I say hello. Tell them I'm being a nerd. Oh. I did, in fact, yes. Okay. I'm back. What were we talking about? I think I was upset about something, but it doesn't narrow it down one bit. Oh, Matt Colville. I was not Super Mario RPG. That was, I'm sure that's what you're here for. And we'll get to that relatively shortly. I'm very sorry. I know. You're looking at the list like, I'm going to have to wait like an hour to get to the content that I actually want. I will tell you right now, before you get too excited, it's not a full system. It's an ongoing project where I'm converting Paper Mario into DM's notes for a Paper Mario themed campaign. That's the short of it, and that's been on the back burner for a bit. I am making a video game inspired gaming system that I intend to kickstart and get into print, hopefully at the end of this year, beginning of next. But that's still in the early draft phase, so I don't have anything to show you about that just yet. So sorry. So if that doesn't interest you, then you're free to go. I'm very sorry you came all this way. But yeah, no, Matt Colville. So I like Matt. Okay, this isn't really a critique. It's more an issue of I've been paying attention to what he's been tweeting, to what he's been saying in his Discord about the system that MCDM is working on. And it's not bad by any means, but it's very much, it's like I'm watching this man discover the indie tabletop role-playing scene in real time. Most of the stuff that he posts about and gets really excited about. Aya, thank you so much for the sub. 16 months. That's fucking amazing. That's not quite a year and a half. 18 months is a year and a half. Thank you for the sub. You get a jolly jangle of the cheer bell. Thank you. So a lot of the mechanics that he's coming up with. Matt Colville is discovering the indie TTRPG scene. I forget what exactly it was he was I think he was talking about a certain like way to use a D20, and a lot of indie people were like, that's just Into the Odd. Into the Odd was released in 2020. This isn't new to anyone except for traditional gamers who have been in their own little Dungeons and Dragons OSR bubble. I think that he is in a position where he needs to produce a game, whereas before he wasn't. He may have had thoughts, but he didn't need or didn't have the need to do the research to see what the rest of the industry was doing. He only cared about what was in his immediate circle, and that's fine. You know, like if you're into like Superman comic books, you're not going to spend all your time buying and reading Marvel. But also, if you aren't at least somewhat aware of what Marvel is doing, then when DC does something that is similar to Marvel, it'll seem like the cat's pajamas to you when everyone else has like been there, done that. Let me scroll up real quick, make sure. I know I missed a lot of people saying stuff. Tav says, it's like watching tech bros reinvent the bus over and over again. Honestly, yes. But it's not malicious, you know? It's not like... I think he has some great near universal advice about GMing. I don't think that applies to gritty game design rules. I don't think the game he's going to come up with is going to be gritty. There's plenty of gritty games in the OSR space, and I don't think he's trying to reinvent those. I don't know for a fact, but I feel like based on what I've heard Matt say, he has a better thumb on the pulse of the traditional OSR scene than most. He may not necessarily know them all by name, but like he knows what OSR nerds want, because it's what traditional D&D nerds want. You know, his generation and before. He is part of that group, so he knows what's going to work for them. Sorry, meant gritty as in the weeds. Oh, yeah. No. I don't think he goes to itch. I could be wrong, but I don't think he goes to itch.io and sorts by newest every week. You know, like I don't think he's that guy. I think to him, because his focus, his business is in the trad gaming, AAA, third-party publishing, the D&D space, that he doesn't have a need to go much into the indie stuff, or he's not interested. He's a grown man. He knows what he likes. What he likes is D&D. He knows what he does like about D&D, knows what he doesn't like about D&D. Why would he go elsewhere? So now that he's in a position where he has to make a brand new game to run his company with that does the things he wants to do, he's accidentally reinventing the wheel over and over again. And what's really upsetting, right? And this has nothing to do with Matt, right? This is just, again, society. This is not Matt's fault. But what's really upsetting is that when he inevitably releases a game that uses new tech that he invented, that is just him discovering what something an indie designer made years ago, the majority of the people who play or read MCDM's game are going to say, oh, new tech. And if, for whatever reason, they actually find the original source of that tech in the wild, they'll go, oh, this is copied from Matt Colville's game, when it's a Digimon Pokemon thing, right? The Digimon anime, like, the Digimon predates Pokemon, but because the anime made it to America first, everyone called Digimon a Pokemon ripoff. That's not how that works. They're connected, but they're not the same. So it's not anything we can battle either. Would he not need to include stuff that comes from other rule sets if he doesn't? Okay, so the thing is, the indie space has not been doing a whole lot to legally protect themselves over the years. Most of the time, they put their works into the Creative Commons, so mostly anyone can use them. It's more if I made something, I want people to know that I'm the one who made it and not give the credit to somebody else. You can't copyright rules. That's another thing. Listen, I know someone who upon playing Harvest Moon was like, wow, they stole everything from Stardew Valley. Oh, honey. Honey bunch. We cannot copyright rules. We can copyright expression. So, for example, you cannot copyright the idea of rolling d6 and choosing a number on a scale above or below. But everyone's going to know that that's a lasers and feelings hack. And that's best practice to be like, this game is based on lasers and feelings. This game is based on Lancer. This game is based on Lumen. Like, it was very funny. Wait, even the bin you put stuff in? Yes. No. It was literally just Harvest Moon for people who were starved for new Harvest Moon. Bless their heart. So it's not even an issue of like legal. Like, no one's gonna sue Matt Colville for using their tech. No one has the money to sue Matt Colville for using their tech. It's mostly just upsetting that even though we're all in the same industry, some people are just so far below the notice of the people who are in the trad gaming space that they can accidentally recreate stuff that was legendary, that was revolutionary in the indie space, and never realize it. Quest, if you are aware of Quest RPG, that when that came out, that was actually notorious. A lot of the like safety tools that are built into Quest were written by named individuals in the indie space back in like this is still the early 2020s, but you know what I mean, like 2019, 2020, 21, early pandemic times. Actually, no, it was before that. I want to say, when did Quest come out? When did Quest come out? I don't remember. Doesn't matter. Anyway, at the time, safety tools were like the big thing in the TTRPG space. Like, safety tools have always been around. It was before COVID, yes, so before 2020 properly hit. Safety tools were a big thing, and a lot of people in the indie space, especially on Twitter, were really pushing people to start spreading safety tools around. Things like the X card, things like lines and veils. And the individuals who wrote these things up had like evidence that like, hey, I'm the one who put this into the space. Just credit me and link to the website where they can read more about it, and there you go. Okay? Quest came out and included a bunch of stuff that should have had credit attached to it, but didn't. And in interviews, the creators of Quest didn't steal it. They reinvented the wheel by complete accident, because instead of reading the websites of the individuals who wrote this tech, what these creators were doing was they were listening to people doing actual play podcasts and gleaning those things from those podcasts. They recreated safety tools because the people who were making podcasts were using those safety tools, but not necessarily calling them out by name. It's just part of their play style. So when they were developing Quest, they're like, oh, people like safety tools. They had this outsider perspective that way, which was a weird situation. Yeah, it wasn't malicious. Matt Colville accidentally recreating the roll mechanic for Into the Odd for his new game is not malicious. This isn't an act of plagiarism. It's just like there's only so many ways you can have a pretend math dice rock game. You know, there's gonna be overlap. But because there's this disconnect between the indie and traditional gaming spaces, you know, like, how is Matt supposed to know? He doesn't go to the places where we're talking about this stuff. He goes to a different school. He's basically on the other side of an imaginary border, for crying out loud. So I find it hard to be excited for MCDM's game, if only because whenever I crack it open, I know that I personally am not going to see anything new or revolutionary to me. I also know, based on Matt's GM style, that the kind of games that Matt runs are not the games that I would like to play in. I think that Matt is a good GM. I don't think he'd be a good GM for me. If I were an OSR kind of guy, if I were really into that fantasy of what D&D is supposed to be like blur your eyes and be like, oh yeah, that's Dungeons and Dragons. If I were that person, I would love playing in Matt's game. I would absolutely adore playing in Matt's game. I'm not that person, you know? Playing in Griffin McElroy's game? Yeah. Playing in even Matt Mercer's game is like, I would be a little iffy on it, but for the most part, I'd be like, okay, yeah. But Matt Colville, no, it's not for me. And I don't expect the game he makes for him and for the people who like him to be for me. So I'm like, you know, It is nice to know that these people get to be exposed to better systems and solutions after being starved of it for so long, but ideally, it'd be great if their rising tide could raise a few more boats. Aaron says, I'll go to a lot of concerts, and I respect heavy metal, but I don't want to go to a heavy metal concert, even when I respect the art. There you go. There you go. There you go. In the end, whatever Kobold Press puts out, whatever Matt Koval puts out, whatever Paizo ends up doing with second edition once they jettison the OGL, almost any game using the Orc open license, and we'll get to fucking Orc, it's just gonna be D&D. Like, there'll be differences, there'll be bells, there'll be whistles, there'll be some mechanical changes, maybe it'll shake the game up enough to get people to be interested in what other mechanical differences other games have, but at its core, at its heart, the fantasy it will be fulfilling will be playing Dungeons & Dragons. Not specifically 5th edition, but Dungeons & Dragons. I'm done with Dungeons & Dragons. I've been done for 3 years. More than that, actually. 3.5 years. We'll get to the ORC. We'll get to the ORC, okay? But I wanted to move away from this because some people are here for Mario, and I do not want them to have to sit through another 20 to 30 minutes of me talking about industry bullshit that I have nothing to do with. But, like, the problem with it all being D&D, and this is a little selfish of me. I'll admit, okay? The industry has been one thing, and then the miscellaneous on the side for at least a decade, right? 5th edition has been out for 10 years, got really popular. It's been the big fish in the pond. Dungeons & Dragons has had waxing and waning popularity. It's had waxing and waning control over the industry. 5th edition is when I feel, aside from like the initial release of it, 5th edition is when Wizards of the Coast had the most power over this little industry of ours. And what's going to happen is that even though there's going to be multiple systems, they're essentially going to be the same game. They're essentially going to be filling the same core fantasy. And that's not really much different. There is a genuine chance that by having 3 or 4 different tent poles, that people will be kind of moving in and out in flux, that stuff below that in the indie scene might float to the top. But most of what's going to float to the top is just stuff that's there's plenty of D&D remakes out there, like OSR stuff. There's plenty of systems that try to be everything while having a core identity. Maybe one of those will pop off. I don't know. I know that at least one of my friends is getting really into what is it, Fabula Ultima or Ultima Fabula, which is like it's called a tabletop JRPG. So a TTJRPG is how they're announcing it. You have that one guy who talks about GURPS. Okay, so this may be mean of me. I have always described Pathfinder fans as the vegan at the table, right? Like if someone's vegetarian, maybe they'll mention it offhandedly, I don't eat meat. If someone's pescatarian, if it comes up when ordering food, they'll mention it, right? But when you have a vegan at the table, nope, no shame to vegans. You know about it very quickly. People who are Pathfinder fans have to validate themselves not just to the indie scene for playing off-brand Dungeons and Dragons, but also to Dungeons and Dragons fans. Like the OSR scene, people scratch their head and like, well, I guess it's old school D&D. I kind of get why you'd want to go back to that. Everyone loves the classics. But then Pathfinder is like, oh yeah, no, we spun off from 3.5. Like very explicitly, we spun off from 3.5. You should come play. It's great. Everyone's like, I don't know. So bless Pathfinder fans. Y'all have had your work cut out for you for years trying to convince you to play your game. Honestly, I didn't pick up the mic. Pop. Woo! More power to you. I'm glad you're having a great couple of weeks. This mic is actually like really good. It's better than I'm used to. It does not pick up a lot of sounds. So I expected that to be a little more louder than it was. It didn't even pop on this. It didn't even pop on the reader. Let me think. Mario. Let's go to Mario, shall we? Let's see. Where's the cam? You are becoming a pop painter. No, this is not the Blue Yeti. This is, well, yes, it is the Blue Yeti. It's not the Snowball, but it is a Blue Yeti. Also, hi, Allegro. I'm thrilled you're enjoying Pathfinder. I'm thrilled you are having a good time with Pathfinder. Mario or Mario? I'm from New England. It varies by day. I don't think about it. We have a friend who wants us to play GURPS, though when I'm not strong enough. You know what? I'm not going to have a GURPS hot take. GURPS fans suffer enough as it is. They're GURPS fans. Bless their hearts. Bless their hearts. I am going to This'll do. And then I'm going to move chat up. And then actually, where is the camera located? This needs to come up here. Hi. Hello. I need to open up. Let me not dox people on my screen. And to open up, where is the screen capture? I had a screen capture for this. Window capture. Okay, 1 second. So to let you guys know, like, what's going on, in December, we started a project where we were converting Paper Mario 64 into notes for a tabletop role-playing game. Where the fuck is the map? Where the fuck is the map? You guys don't see... Oh, here's the goddamn map. Okay, open with... Where's my... More apps. Where's my picture shit? Well, I guess we're doing it with Firefox. For some reason. Okay, and then I change the window to Firefox. Firefox, there we go. Why is it so large? Why is it so fucking large? Transform, reset. I could have tested this before stream. I could have tested this at any point before stream, but I did not. Don't go where I can't follow. Someone trying to be convinced to play GURPS. Bless their hearts. Bless their fucking hearts. All right, let me actually move. Here we go. There we go. So this is a map that was drawn for me by my good friend Sophie. You can find them at Lady Sophie 17, I believe. Yes, at Lady Sophie 17. This is a map they drew, combining all the locations of Paper Mario, Origami King, and Paper Mario 64. Eventually, they actually intend to expand it to include some locations in Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, because there are some locations south of the Mushroom Kingdom proper that are included. Oh, hi, Sophie! Hello! Now I reveal my presence coming out from the shadows as my name is mentioned. You've been here the whole time, haven't you? Just waiting for me to say something. So we had this whole map, and we've been slowly but surely working on converting this map into notes for a tabletop role-playing game campaign. We haven't touched that in like half a month. Right? It's been like 4 or 5 weeks, if not longer. Christmas happened. I started this at the beginning of December. We went 3 weeks, great. Christmas happened. I got sick. I had to focus on other things. The OGL shit happened. And I did not want to talk about gaming stuff, TTRPG stuff on stream at all. So, like, this has definitely gone to the back burner. I am at an odd spot, and maybe chat here can help me out with this. Maybe chat will have, like, something to say about this. So, Hi, Yoshikoin. Hello. Can I zoom in properly? There we go. And let's actually set this right in the center. Here we go. Peach's Castle. Bum 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 ba ba da bum 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 ba ba da bum. Yeah. So I'm at a weird spot where the last dungeon we made was it Forever Forest? That wasn't really a dungeon, but it was kind of dungeony. I adapted Forever Forest, and we turned it into a maze of sorts with things to find and people to talk to and all that sort of thing. Gata, when are we taking a trip to Universal California? They're building a Nintendo World in Orlando right now, and that's much closer to me. I'm already in Florida, so you're coming to Orlando to hang out with me at Nintendo Land, Orlando. So don't even. Oh yeah, absolutely. From the moment they announced that they were planning an Orlando location. You will meet me in Orlando. Absolutely. I'll be excited to see you. Disney World who? I have Nintendo Land to go to. No, they already broke ground on it, I believe. From what I understand, they're planning on replacing all of the old Marvel content. There was an area of Universal Studios Orlando that was all Marvel stuff, and obviously Disney now owns Marvel, so it was kind of weird to have Spider-Man at Disney World and also at Universal Studios. So they have rest in peace the Hulk ride, rest in peace my brave soldier. But yes, so the issue that I'm having, actually you can't see my mouse. I'm gesturing with my mouse on the screen and you can't see it because of this is a window capture. I'm sorry. I'll just roll with my hands instead. The issue with this, okay, is that a number of people privately, I'm not calling anyone out, I'm just stating the facts. A lot of people privately were confused and unsure about the direction of this project. When it was pitched to them, I said, we are adapting this right here into game notes. And then when they actually had the stream, it was me. It was me. Hold on. Can I pull the photo up? Did I save that? Hold on. Let me see if it's in documents. No, I don't think I saved it. I think I took a screenshot of it and that was it. Did I put it in my notes? Hold on 1 second. Let me switch the window so you can see what I'm going through. Where is it? Properties. Hi, Sean. Welcome to the stream. Welcome. And let's actually make this proper size. All right. Did I put the screenshot in these notes? No, I did not. This is Storming Koopa Bros Fortress. No, Koopa Village. The Bros Fortress, the dungeon. Okay, I did not include the video. That's fine. I made a lot of changes to how the story of the game works. The core of it is still there, but a lot of changes were made. I turned the Koopa Bros dungeon into a puzzle dungeon. So there is actually a valve-based, water-based pipe puzzle you have to solve in order to actually reach the boss battle. I altered the context in which the bombs are involved. I made some decisions about Mario lore that I wanted to incorporate. And basically I made it my own. And that's not bad. I showed people my process. But my process was mostly me looking at the screen going, writing something down. As it turns out, my writing process is not very good for stream content. And some people were fine with that. Some people liked that. But a decent enough number of people were like, Gata, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. So I said to myself, okay, take a step back, think about this, kind of reconfigure my goals. And the short answer is that I don't have an answer yet. I don't have an answer. I don't want this to go to waste. I don't want this project to go away. I want to make this a thing, but I'm not sure exactly how to tackle it. So the too long didn't read is that this is on hiatus. I'm working on other stuff, but I will come back to it. Especially as our lovely dear Sophie went out of their way to make this massive fucking map for me. I do not want this all to go to waste. What I think I'm actually going to do, I'm in a number of groups of Discord people who are into Mario and tabletop role-playing games. What I might do is open the floor and be like, hey, do you guys want to take a spot of this map and fill it out? Just so it's more hands than mine. And if they want to remake their own section, if they don't like my Forever Forest and they want to make their own Forever Forest, then that's fine. Go ahead. I'm not going to stop them. I don't own this, you know? People who stream their writing processes are too powerful. People who stream their writing process and make it good to watch are godlike. I don't understand. It's mostly me just thinking really hard and then having like an ADHD brain blast every 20 minutes on the dot. It's wild. It's wild, honestly. So yeah, rubs hands together. Hand me your Mario cannon. You can trust me. I'm normal and won't establish anything distressing. Oh, I don't know about that. Not a fan of that. No. What I can show you, however, is what I think... Oh, Daring Dreaming is right here. What I think the plan may be going forward. I think... so this is Daring and Dreaming. It was technically Tall Tales from Farmhand Fields. It's a work in progress. Don't worry about it. This is I'm actually doxing the entire URL right now. That's fine. So this is an entire system. How many pages? We're at 25 pages right now, and I'm not done. This is a hack of Lasers and Feelings, where I turned it from a one-page RPG into an 8,000-word RPG. I'm still working on it, without losing the core resolution. What I'm thinking of doing is actually taking all of this, finishing the main draft, and then making my own Mario hack of my own game. Does that sound right? Specifically so that I have a core system to base DM notes off of. Daring and Dreaming, or Tall Tales from Farmhand Fields, or whatever you want to call it, is not a very mechanically dense system. It's primarily just a series of rules to allow theater-ish role-playing to happen. There's some dice rolling, but not enough that they can't convert. There's no stat blocks or anything. Let me show you. Let me show you the Rubber Who's right here. So each individual character, like race, okay, has 4 parts to it, I guess. The first is the basic description. This is the flavor text. So Rubber Who's, as you can see by the examples on the side, are your Mallows, your Kirbys, and your Pac-Mans. They are your blobs that have hands and feet for some reason. In this main game that I'm writing, they are all rubbery. They can be any shape they want. And there's 2 things. There's a boon, which for Rubber Who's describes how they can mold their bodies into almost any shape they want, giving themselves like different facial features, fake hair. They're shapeshifters essentially. And then a bane, which is a bad thing. So because they're naturally buoyant, they tend to be terrible swimmers. The boon is basically like, here's a cool thing you can do that would make you want to play as this creature. You don't get a +1 or anything, but like, this is what you can do. And then a bane is like, however, it's not all sunshine and roses. If something goes wrong, here's something that may happen as a result. Ghostly artistry, booze can drown. Can booze drown? I don't know. That's actually a thing. Do booze die in water? I don't know about that. And then beneath it, there are 3 questions which are meant to not outright state something about the species or the character, the creature, but imply so that if the players want to, they can expand on it. So, for example, what geometrical shape has your Rubberhoo chosen for their body? I don't specify what shape Rubberhoos can be in, but this implies that they choose their shape and they have reasons for choosing it. And if a player wants to expand about it, like, oh, my Rubberhoo is a cube for this, that, and Y reason. Oh, not booze, not booze, Rubberhoos. Yeah, a Rubberhoo. It's a fictional thing. The bane for a Rubberhoo is that they naturally float, so they can't swim for shit. As well as because they're made of rubber, cold temperatures mean they can't stretch without damaging themselves. So this is the basic framework. Boos aren't fictional. Clearly they exist. They're real. Haven't you ever seen a documentary? No. Basically, this framework can be used for any Mario species without needing to worry about like giving Goombas a +2 to a stat or making sure that Boos have this special feature. Like, there's no need to get into the nitty-gritty. So if you wanted to take this and convert it into 5e and add numbers on top of it or something, that's possible. So that's my first thought. Finish this, translate it into Mario terms, and then build DM notes based off of that. Also, well, you can't see because my camera's in the way, but if you scroll down past, just ignore this. All right. If you scroll down past the styles, this is the classes which are not complete yet. So I'm not really going to bother showing you that. Actually, if you're in my Discord, you can just see this document in full. Like, the link to read this document is in my Discord in the God of TTRPGS channel. So, like, actually, Hembert won't say anything, but I can link you the Discord right here. If we scroll down even further, you can see, okay, so the gear section, okay? I already have badges planned, weapons, clothes, various resources. There's not a whole lot written here yet, but it's coming. It's coming in the document. But like, it's already visibly Mario themed, so making it more Mario themed for the map project will be a little bit easier. So yeah, that's what I've got. Basically, sorry it's taking so long. Please be patient with me. This will get done eventually. Whoops. Hello? Why are we going up? Why are we going straight up? Okay. And let me move chat back down. Before we move on, are there any questions vis-a-vis Tall Tales from Farmhand Fields or Mario? Let's see, where's the chat? Time to get some Frontierland music. Yeehaw! Where is the main chat? Oh, it is this. Really. There we go. The next section that I wanted to show off was my books. I have some new books that I want to show off, and then we can talk about Orc a little bit, because of course we gotta talk about Orc. But before that, we are going to spend 1 minute playing an ad, because otherwise it'll randomly show up in the middle of us trying to look at our book. So enjoy this 1 minute of ad, and yeah, I'll see you guys in a second, or a minute, as it were. So I guess ads are happening, ads are in progress. No one can see this. Everyone's watching an ad right now. This is exclusive VOD content. What if I just dropped like a super important announcement during these 45 minutes? No ad for me! You're not watching an ad! Hey, gadab! So did it just not work? Well, no, only 2 of you are saying it, so maybe everyone else is seeing an ad? It's 30 seconds left on it anyway. You don't think it worked? Oh well. I'm just gonna continue to not say anything. until, well, if you all are watching via with a thing that has ad blockers on it, then maybe that's it. I don't know. 12. It says 12 seconds. It's counting down. It's counting down the minute. And it says we're live again. Hi everyone. Did you have a nice ad? Did you enjoy that ad? Apparently half the chat didn't see it. All right. So now I get to show you my cool new books. Ooh. You hated that ad. Well, I didn't choose it, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Raggles. So since the last time I showed off my books, I have gotten some new stuff. Some new stuff, and I haven't spoken about it very much. The first thing I bought was Brews and Botanicals. Oh, the camera's flipped around. Can I do anything about that? I probably should. Hold on. Let's see here. Transform. Flip. Horizontal. This is my... Oh, well, now the droid cam is backwards. This camera is my phone. I got my phone attached up to my computer. As you can see by the droid cam thing, I have not paid for Pro. So we're just suffering with this for today. If I do this later, if I do another one of these, I'll spend the $10 to upgrade the app. It's fine. It's fine. It works fine, right? But yes, so I have Brews and Botanicals by Madeline Hale. This was bought off of Amazon, and it's literally just a system neutral system for brewing potions. It's got some cute drawings of the alchemical process. It briefly implies that, well, it briefly says like, well, there's common potions, there's powerful potions, and there's wondrous potions. Whatever that means for your game system of choice, work it out with your GM, or if you are a GM, work it out with yourself. It says common potions cause mild effects, so basic medicine, basic poisons, that sort of thing. Powerful potions heal moderate wounds, summon thunderstorms, induce death-like sleep. And then wondrous potions are like flying, teleportations, pulling stars from the heavens. So if you're playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, I'd say common potions are like spell effects from 1st to 3rd level, powerful or from 5 to a full 4 to 6th maybe, and then wondrous or anything above that. Very simple. It actually uses like it wants you to use a it has like a bunch of like checks that you can compare to your gaming system of choice. It says use a deck of cards to do random events. There's a card system for doing foraging events. If your character says, oh, I want to go forage for an event, and the GM is like, well, I don't really know how to, I don't just want you to roll and say, yes, you get what you want, or no, you don't. So they have like draw a deck of cards, and whatever card you get, whatever suit you get matches something on this list. And also, for a good half of the book, I don't really know how to properly show this off other than just showing it the page directly, but it has a bunch of fictional brewing ingredients. So like Dahoon lichen, its main ability is called change. This lichen is utterly gray, perfectly devoid of any color. It is damp and craggy, clinging to the sides of the caves, feeding off the mineral heavy waters that drip down the stone. There's like a good 6-7 pages of this front to back. 1 2 3 4 5 pages front to back of just a whole bunch of fantasy things they can find if they go foraging. And I think that's really neat. My only issue with this book is that while it describes them and it has these cute doodles in it, they didn't go out of their way to draw each of the individual ingredients. So you do have to go along. You can't like show a picture of it to your player and be like, that's what you find. You have to really do have to put them a word picture. This was like $6, I think, when I got it on Amazon. And it's not bad. It's about the quality I would expect from a direct to print sort of dealio from Amazon. It's functional. It's small, it's cute. I didn't expect much from it, and I like it. I like it. There are other brewing systems that I would rather use, but at the very least, the ingredients in this book will appear in my games, so this was a worthwhile thing. Again, you can find it on Amazon. I don't believe they're selling it anywhere else. That's Brews and Botanicals by Madeline Hale. If you buy it, tell them Gata sent you. They won't know who I am. Let's see, what else did I get recently? I think that was the only zine that I bought recently since the last time we spoke. I've been spending my money on like crowdfunding stuff, like Kickstarter stuff, and they haven't been cheap. So I've not been, normally I get paid, I spend $20 on zines, and then I sit and I wait. But when I scroll through Crowdfunder, scroll through Indiegogo, scroll through Kickstarter, and I support something, I'm like, in 2 weeks, they're gonna charge me $50. I can't spend anything else, but I can back more Kickstarters because those will charge me after I pay for the last thing I backed. So I have stuff coming, but not yet. Not yet. Let's see here. Oh, I just realized that I haven't shown you Neverland yet. This, I act all smug as though I made the book, but this is Neverland, a fantasy role-playing setting by Andrew Kolb. Look at the shine. Look at the gold leaf. This is a very professional made book. I can imagine this being on the shelf right next to 5th edition's books, quite frankly. This is a very well-made product. I believe it was originally kickstarted, and the author has since made a Wizard of Oz book in the same vein, which I really want to get my hands on. But this I got for sale. I also bought it through Amazon as part of like the Christmas sales. The MSRP for this is only $25 USD. It's $24.99, which is ridiculous considering that Wizards sells their books for like $60 a pop, and this is as good as any book Wizards has ever printed. Let me show you the inside. So Adam Kolb, first, okay. The fucking, oh, it doesn't show up on camera very well. The fucking gold leaf on the inside, oh, I love it. And it comes with a bookmark, fuck yeah. Love this shit. So Adam Kolb is a graphic designer, first and foremost. So every page of this book contains their art. And it is, look at this. Just look at the design on this. Chapter 1, the world. We have the vines going around. We have the really fancy first letter of like ye olde text. The text is a little small, but it's very good. Let me show you. Here's some of the art. Here's some of the art. Look at this. Hold on. Here we go. Look at how beautiful this shit is. Every page has these beautiful illustrations. I'll just look to a random page. Ooh, look at this. Look at the giant crocodile. We got the vultures up there with the eyes. Oh my god. A Kate Sith. We got it's just so good. It's just so good. This entire book is just full of beautiful, beautiful illustrations. This book was originally meant to be a setting exclusively for 5e, and you can tell a lot of the mechanics for like how the stat blocks are arranged are clearly meant for people who are used to a 5e OSR D&D kind of style. But it's system neutral. They scratched away enough of the D&D stuff that you could pretty much play it in any game. There's enough flavor that it's not just, this is a crocodile, here are its stats, and that's the end of it. No, it gives you the flavor for each of the monsters. So even if you're playing in a statless game, you can run these creatures and not feel like you're missing out on anything. One of the things that I love about this book is that it starts with the core Peter Pan stuff you'd expect. It starts with the regular Neverland stuff. And then it fleshes it out to make Neverland feel like a living, breathing location. There are consequences for your actions. There are multiple factions on the island. There's an entire civilization of granny grandpa gnomes who they're the ones who do all the upkeep on the island. If you fuck up any of the infrastructure, they'll know you did it and they'll be mad at you about it. But if you can befriend them, they'll build you bridges, they'll build you houses, they'll welcome you in with open arms. It's amazing. The Lost Boys are there, Peter Pan's there, the pirates are there. There's an entire mechanic where this book expects you to keep very close records of time, right? And almost every day, something new happens. The giant, the crocodile, right? The TikTok crocodile has a very specific schedule that you can tell time by, and you'll know where that crocodile is depending on what time of month it is. And also, at a very specific time of month, a star will fall. And if you get that star, it will boost your magical power immensely. So everyone wants these fallen stars. Gotta tell your roommate to stop playing their bunny girl games. Oh no! It's only 6:30. The TikTok crocodile. Wake up in the morning feeling like P. The bitrate seems to have balanced out some, so hopefully this will be good. No, it's still dipping. Give it a second. Let me close some stuff. Won't be enough to stop it all, but... Ashley, is that you, dear?
Yeah.
Are you doing anything on the internet right now?
No.
You are not. Okay.
Okay, Seth. Are you doing anything on the internet right now? Okay, well, Derek's trying to scream.
Could you ask him to switch to hotspot for me? If he can?
Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem.
We're only getting dips, thankfully, and the core message is getting it through fine. Okay. I'm going to be talking to my internet service provider and hopefully getting a better router so that this stops happening. What else was I going to say? I just really like this book. Let me show you the map. It is a hex crawl. And I believe the designer has moved on from hex crawls. Their Wizard of Oz adventure is a point crawl instead. And I'm not going to get the differences here, but look at how beautiful this fold-out map is. Look at this. Every single hex has something in it. Let me show you the other side. The other side actually includes the basics of what's in the hex. Every single hex has at least one point of interest in it for you to go to. And everything changes as you spend more time in Neverland. And depending on who you talk to and who you interact with, the story of Neverland will change. It's told in a very fairy tale kind of way, where it doesn't give you the answers to all the questions, but it gives you enough that you're like, this is the reality of Neverland, and this is how I can interact with it. I want to run a Neverland campaign using this book exclusively, using this book specifically. I love it. I would probably swap out its Peter, though. The Peter Pan, named Peter Pan, that is in this book is not bad. I think he's very faithful to the original Peter Pan, but he ends up being more of the way he's written, he feels more of a nuisance to run than anything else. Peter Pan does not have a long memory. He takes credit for everything he's ever been told. He lashes out at people who tell him he's wrong. He's a fey child. He is wild. He is free. He cares not for anything unless it can benefit him in the moment. And anything that is not worth remembering, he does not remember. The Lost Boys are very specifically antagonistic. The Lost Boys in this are very clearly the bad kids. Peter Pan very specifically takes the bad kids and brings them to Neverland. And this book actually goes into depth as to why. This book actually includes, there is a spot on Neverland that has a direct connection to the dimension of the Fae. They don't call it the Feywild because that's a D&D thing, but it's very clearly meant to be the Feywild. And a very specific Fae has an interest in Peter and has been using Peter all this time to acquire human children. There are monsters for interacting with the Fae in the Fae court. There is descriptions for what you might find if you stumble into the world of the Fae through Neverland. There's also explanations of what these Fae want and how the players could fuck it up and ruin Peter's whole thing, even if they themselves don't have a reason to be against Peter. The Darlings are in this book, and I don't want to spoil how they're in this book, but it's very, very clever. This is not you running the game. This is not you running the Neverland stories. This is not an adaptation of, and this is where you run this story from Peter Pan. This is the adventure where you run this story from. This is after all that. The stories happened. The stories had an impact, and this is your players bumbling into Neverland afterwards and seeing what happens next. And it is very, very, very well done. If you want any fantasy setting book, get this. This is good. This is very good. One of the inspirations for this book, as the author has stated, was in fact the Dark of Hot Springs Island, which I have previously stated I think is laid out and designed in a brilliant way. I am in love with the design of the book, but I don't like the content. One of the biggest things with the Dark of Hot Springs Island that I loved was the gunpowder barrel design philosophy, where the entire island is a gunpowder barrel and the players are the light that will set it off. And it's not about how the players cannot set it off. They're going to set it off. It's about what they set off and how that makes everything else on the island explode. And that design philosophy is very clear all through Neverland. So I am very thrilled with that. Get this book. It's very good and it's relatively cheap. It's $25 on Amazon. It's good. Let's see here. What else have I got? Monster Care Squad. Now here's one that I didn't really want to talk about. Are the Darlings now venture capitalists? No. The Darlings are certainly something. There are a lot of things now, but they're not venture capitalists. All right. Monster Care Squad. Okay? Monster Care Squad. Now, first up, I immediately sound like I'm going to tell you your dog has died. I sound like I'm going to tell you I hate the book and everything that stands in it. No. I like this book. The problem is that there are a couple of little things about it that make it disappointing to me, to the point where I'm like, I want to like it more. I want to like this more. So for those who don't know, Monster Care Squad, The Legends of Ald Amura, is a book that was kickstarted by Sandy Pug Games. I want to say like 2-3 years ago? This was one of the first big indie darlings that made it like really huge on Kickstarter. This is a Powered by the Apocalypse game. And when this thing came out, when this thing was originally kickstarted, it was all the craze. It was all anyone could talk about. It had a massive campaign. It ended up hitting all of its stretch goals and then some. This was a very highly publicized game. And I wasn't able to get it until around Christmas because, again, Christmas sales. I bought it through Exalted Funeral, which is where I buy most of my books, pardon me, these days. Most of my zines are through Exalted Funeral, so give those a look. And the gimmick of this game is that instead of being monster hunters, you are essentially monster veterinarians. Ald Amura is a world, very Final Fantasy, very Chrono Triggery in its design. Let me pull up a page. Let's see, where's some good art that I can show you to express this? I think the first page, honestly, is probably the best. It has this like JRPG adventure world feel to it. Very Miyazaki, very Ghibli, very Princess Mononoke, very, you know what I'm getting at. And the core concept is that you're not fighting monsters like you do in D&D. You are protecting and helping monsters. Do we have another good page of art? I don't think we do, actually. Hold on. 3 years ago, and it was the big one. I don't remember the exact year. So this book goes to great lengths to describe the world of Aldamura and the calamity within. The monsters of this world are essentially like the guardian caretakers of the planet, and the people of the world have lived in harmony with them ever since the last Great War 100 years ago, when the last of the monster hunters died out. At some point in this world's history, there was a great war. It ruined everything, and after that said, okay, from now on, no more wars, and everyone agreed. It's very idyllic. It's very idealistic. It's kind of hard to imagine a world without capitalism, without warfare, without the sort of like nationalism that is in our actual reality, and Aldamura asks us to imagine that. The stakes are high only in that the monsters who are becoming ill and endangering the populace are large, and they are powerful, and it's not their fault, and they can be healed, but it's very specifically something that the monster care specialists have trying to solve. In creating a character, it was only 2 years. So that'll be. In creating a character, you do not create like a race. You choose a class. You choose a playbook is what it is. And you have a series of moves that you can use, and there's a couple of extra ones added on. It's very basic, powered by the apocalypse. There is a mechanic that I really like, where it's kind of like a Pokeball mechanic, where when you succeed, there's multiple phases. There's the investigation phase. There's the brewing phase. It's not really called that, but there's where you figure out why the monster is sick. There's where you figure out the treatment plan for the monster, and then there's the battle phase-ish, where you actually have to like get the monster to a point where you can give them the cure, right? And there's a bit of a Pokemon mechanic where you have a scale, and the rate at which your final Pokeball throw is going to be at goes up and down depending on your successes. So I think the example they use in the book, in the back, there is a giant turtle monster who is suffering from heartbreak, and its cries are loud enough to shatter glass. So they have to investigate, why is the turtle crying? Why is the turtle upset? What has caused this turtle to become sick and come down with this gold illness? And in the example they gave is they investigated, they asked people, they followed the turtle, and they realized that, oh, this turtle believed that a mound house was a female monster turtle, and they had to demolish it because it was old, so he thinks that the love of his life is gone. He's suffering a broken heart. So they like, oh, he has a broken heart. How do we fix a broken heart? And then they move into the next phase where they have different moves for determining what kind of solution they'll come up with. In the example, they make a big pot of stew. So they have multiple roles trying to convince these town people to make like a giant pot to make the stew in. People to bring vegetables to add to the stew. Like all like multiple roles to try to make this cure work. And all of this is causing this rack to go, this scale to go up. Then they have to convince the turtle to come try the soup. And that's the battle phase, where they're attempting to get the turtle to allow them to administer the cure. In the example, they do. And it comes from them using their moves in a way that the track eventually gets them to a plus on their cure roll. And they do, and they cure it, and the turtle's happy again. He stops crying, the gold tears dry up, and everyone's happy. They can go back to being happy and healthy again. As a game, mechanically, this is a good game, and I want to run it for someone. Here's the but. This book has a lot of really weird bits about it. Okay? Let me show you something, okay? So there is a lot of information in this book, but it's laid out in a way that I don't think is useful or helpful to someone who hasn't read it front to back at least twice. So let me show you. Here's a page with a bunch of the monsters on it. So we have Petrodon Adonia, and we have Aubria, And then we have, I can't see right now, but we have this big dragon guy, right? These guys are on the same page as their stats, as their information for how to run them, and that's great. But then we go back a single page. See all this information? This is all the information for one monster, no art. There's no art for this monster. We go back another page, and we have all the information for this monster. There's art of it, but it just kind of splatted there on the page. It's just kind of there, right? It doesn't really fit with the design of the book. And this is an issue that happens repeatedly. There are pages where a section of the story, a section of the book, reaches a natural end. And instead of filling in the rest of that page with art to make it a complete page, the page just stops. There are instances where, let's see here. There's instances where the book will explain a mechanic to you. And then immediately after explaining the mechanic, the designer of the game will pop up in like a side blurb and say, when we were designing this, we considered this, that, or the other. So maybe when you're playing, you can do this, that, or the other instead. And I understand the urge as a designer to inform the players and the GM how the game works and how they can mess with it. Like, I want people to understand on a mechanical level, like Mind Palace, how I designed the game. But unless you are physically in the room to tell those people how you design the game, and they are people who are interested in game design at that same level, it comes across as the designers not being sold on their game if they're actively telling you how to not follow the rules or how to change the rules as they're teaching you the rules. I understand that, but also, let me show you something. All right, this is the basic introduction. Okay, first page, you have some art at the bottom. I still feel it's kind of slapped in there, but that's fine. And then you get over here, the page just ends. The page just ends. It just stops. And I don't want to claim that a graphic designer didn't work on this. I don't want to claim that this is a bad product or a bad book. It's just puzzling the design decisions they made while making the book. Another issue that I had when reading the book the first time was reading a section about something in the game, right? And then finding new information that should have been in that section much later in the book. There's a mechanic in this game where if you succeed at healing a monster, I forget the exact mechanic, but I believe it's if you heal a monster with a certain level of success, the monster may grant a magical boon. And it states that people are used to these. People live with these monsters. They're basically your next door neighbor. Every town has a monster that is part of their everyday life. So finding individuals who have received magic boons for assisting this monster is not uncommon. And here we go. Monster gifts. What are they? The exact nature of a monster gift varies from monster to monster. Some will give you a physical object or a piece of small jewelry to keep with you as a symbol of your connection. Others will touch your spirit and imbue it with power. Some will remake your clothes or mark you with a tattoo. Okay? So in this, right? In this very specific introduction to what monster gifts are and what they can be, they list off physical objects, jewelry, imbuing your spirit with power, whatever that means, remaking your clothes, marking you with a tattoo. Okay. So the monster gives you something, or, it's a physical gift, is how they are describing it in some way. Okay. However, later on in the book, and this is a positive. Okay, this is partly a positive. So pause the critique. This book is full of bits and bobs of in-universe fiction. well, fiction of in-universe. There's written letters from individuals in this universe talking about things to each other. There's obviously the replay section. There's notes from people who live in this world, who experience it, and I like that. There's actually an entire bit at the very end of the book I don't want to spoil, but it's written from an in-universe union writing their demands to the superiors, and it's hilarious. I'm not going to spoil what the context of it is, but there are a lot of bits and pieces where they try to make the world of Alamura, or how do I pronounce that? Aldamura, I almost had it, I missed a D, feel like it's a real place. However, the monster gifts section is on page 20, okay? The monster gifts section is on page 20. If you flip all the way over to page 49, and this is the first time it appears in the book, you see that girl next to that one-eyed freaky goat? She has rabbit ears, okay? The text above that artwork is a letter from that girl's mother talking about how her daughter came back from healing monsters with claws and fur and ears. So hold on, you're telling me that monster gifts also turn you into a furry? I mean, that's being dismissive of it, but they did not mention that it would it could alter your physiology. At no point else in the book, up until this point, is that an option. And it's not like it's a different race. It's not like a cat person. This is a human who became changed by interacting with a monster. And when I read through that, I jumped in my seat like, oh, no. It's not just a gift. It physically can alter the player to allow them to take on parts of this monster. Like the ears are supposed to match the goat, I imagine, right? So if you help a dragon, maybe it'll give you fire breath to match its power. Maybe it'll give you wings. It took 29 pages for that information to be given to me when there was a dedicated section for that information to be given to me. I don't mind when a book repeats itself, right? If it's repeating itself because the information is needed in two different contexts. This isn't two different contexts. I mean, this is lore. This is world lore. A GM might not have read this at all. Heck, this comes the page after solo mode, right? This is put on the page, the same 2-page spread where the rules are for playing in a solo scenario. If I'm a GM preparing a game for a group of people, I'm going to see solo mode and keep on flipping and just keep on flipping. So this is a critique of the book. The information is there, and the information is good, and the game is good, and I want to like the book more, but now that I have it in my hands, I feel like I should have just bought a PDF. And that's not a good feeling to have. Ideally, we should read the whole thing, but let's be honest with ourselves. This thing is... Hold on, how many pages is it in total? At least 175? Yes, there's 175 pages in this book, which compared to some D&D books is not actually a ton, but also you're gonna skip some bits. Let me show you another thing. So issues are information is scattered throughout the book. Art is inconsistent with the graphic design. Some monsters have no art at all. The page design does not always feel like it was meant with this book in mind, if that makes sense. Looking like a training ground with this many pages. It's helpful if they're clearly labeled. Yes, I agree. This book has an organization issue. The art in it is beautiful. However, big however here. Like I mentioned earlier, the art just kind of feels slotted in. Like these people are small, and there's a bunch of empty space here. These people should have been the art of the people should have been made larger so the text could reach the end of the page of this 2-page spread. But it's not. It's small and slapped in there. Also, you may notice the massive amount of real estate in the center of the book that is not being used. Right? This is a beautiful... Behind this text is a large piece of artwork that we cannot see because there is text on top of it, but also, okay, so like this image on the cover is repeated inside the book. All you can see is like the center section of this dragon because the game rules have to go there. Now, from what I understand, one of the Kickstarter goals was an art book. The art in this book feels like art I would see in an art book and go, wow. Some of it is sketchy. Most of it is in squarish format without a transparent background. I imagine the art book is beautiful. The art looks like it was made for the art book before it was made for the core book. And that bothers me. Let me think. Was there anything else that I really had any issues with? Not really. In terms of running it as a GM, all the information you need is here. The world of Aldamura is fleshed out enough that it feels like a real place, but also it doesn't go into such deep lore like the Forgotten Realms, where if you get something wrong or make something up, your players will be like, that's not right. That's not in the Forgotten Realms. You made that up. No, this book is written with the intent of a GM creating their own little corner of Aldamura with its own little kind of little world, right? But as a physical product, I am disappointed in it. The actual makeup of the book, the quality of the paper, the quality of the cover, this is a quality made product. It's just what's in it isn't organized in a way that is not organized as well as I would like it. Sandy Pug Games is currently working on a number of different projects, and I will be buying their books when they come out. This has not soured me on the entire dev group, but I'm just a little disappointed in it, that's all. That's all. All right, the last book I didn't bring with me, so I actually have to go and get it. All right, bye, Hurricane. Thank you for staying with us. This is like really late for you, so I'm honestly surprised. Let me go grab the last book, and I'll show it to you. This just came in last week, so this is like brand new. Excuse me. Out of my way. Hi, Brittany. Hello. Okay. So, I want to say about a year ago, Wormworks launched a Kickstarter called Limitless Heroics, and the idea was that it would be an add-on to Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. I'm trying to make sure I'm in the center of the screen here. Pull the microphone a little closer. Thank you. And it's nearly midnight, which I am now calling it forevermore. Mod Night. Got it. It was a 5e add-on about adding neurological disorders, mental illness, and disabilities into 5th edition. The individual who runs it, I believe he has severe anxiety and ADHD, but he was inspired to add this into the 5th edition ecosystem, specifically so that people who are differently abled or whatever, I don't actually know what the proper word is right now, disabled individuals could see themselves represented in Dungeons & Dragons. It's a resource for GMs, but it's also a resource for players who want to play characters with their disabilities in 5e in a way that makes sense with 5e mechanics. Now, Bingoof. I have opinions about that. I have opinions about mechanically including disabilities into 5th edition because of what 5th edition is. But I cannot fault them for wanting to create this so that people have it. I would rather this book exist than not exist, but also I read through it and I'm like, I don't know if this is the way to go. Not saying it's problematic or bad or anything, I just don't like it. A number of disabled individuals were on staff. Every single artist was a disabled person. The editors, they had a bunch of sensitivity authors on there. Like, everyone who was part of this book's creation are themselves disabled. So if they went through with it, then this worked for them. Not working for me. But let me show it to you. So first of all, here is the cover. Limitless Heroics. You can see a bunch of individuals fighting a Hydra. This is really cool. Now let me show you how thick it is. Let me show you Monster Care Squad, which has 175 pages compared to this. This is basically, hi Z, this is a fucking textbook. This is huge. I did not expect it to be this huge, and I was actually concerned when I opened the box and pulled this out. But do you want to know why it's this huge? You want to know why it's this huge? It's because the entire book is printed in large font for individuals who have vision problems. The entire book was written with a very specific font choice, to allow as many people as possible to be able to read it. And I gotta love it. We love to see it. They knew what they were going for. Mad respect. This is a fucking huge book. This is so big. It's so big. The inside of the book is not terribly pretty. Hi, Insanely Bliss. Welcome to the stream. It is very much a bunch of white pages, black text, couple of art here and there. It very much looks like a textbook, because it is. It kind of is. This book goes to great lengths to be like, this is not a medical textbook. There's a very high chance that the description of a specific disability in this book will not match your lived experience, but in the attempt is to mechanize them. Sounds bad. It sounds like, oh, we're gonna make mechanics around disabilities, but no, allowing people to represent their disabilities with their characters and other NPCs in the game while still allowing 5th edition to be combat oriented. This book contains a massive list of a ton of different disabilities, both mental and physical. Every disability experience is unique. Yes, absolutely. And they point this out in the book straight up, being like, hey, listen, we had to boil down these things to like a simple description. Most disabilities have multiple side effects that replicate other disabilities, or if a person doesn't just have one disability, people can have multiple disabilities that overlap. They can have symptoms that disappear for a time, then come back later. Some people only experience problems with disability in specific situations. There's no way that this book can cover all of that, but it's a guide to allow you to replicate it. But beyond that, it also talks a lot about world building. One of the things this book takes great efforts to talk about is, what's the word I'm looking for? It would be very easy for someone to take this book, someone who does not understand what it is like to be disabled, or even someone who is disabled but doesn't understand what it's like to live with a different disability than their own, and do it wrong. Basically, you know, they go to great lengths to be like, don't use disability as an indicator for evilness, right? Don't give all your villains disabilities as a sign that they're evil. That's bad, right? Don't magically heal someone's disability. There's a couple paragraphs about like healing potions and stuff, and about how like, yes, you can have a world that is open and accessible by people with disabilities, but real people in the real world don't have magic potions, and it really sucks if you just say, oh, in this fantasy, we magically cure your disability and you're a whole person now. That's bad. Don't do that. That's bad. Don't do that. So it talks a lot about how they don't specify Forgotten Realms individually, but they do specify some like in-world lore for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, where it's like potions basically undo damage, and if someone's born a certain way, you're implying that they can be fixed to normal and that their normal existence is wrong, and that's not, no. If you're trying to make your table more diverse, try to make it cover more people, have more representation, that's not the way to go about it. Jen says, back from walking the dog, so sorry if it was said already, but D&D needing to quantify everything into numbers makes this as shaky territory as giving races stat modifiers. We were gonna get to that, but yes, that is my largest complaint. Forgotten Realms has a belt of gender changing. Wouldn't that be nice? But that's a joke item. Yeah, no. Oops, you put on a belt and it's cursed. You're now a girl. Isn't that funny, Jeff? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, D&D has a lot of problems with representation when it comes to disability, both mental and physical, as well as gender issues. And this book does a lot to try and bridge that gap, but at the end of the day, it's still 5th edition. All of the disabilities come with a suggested alteration to stats, a suggested mechanic for role-playing them that fits the 5th edition ecosystem, which includes +1s and -1s to like Constitution. Bless their hearts, they very specifically do not have any negative modifiers to intelligence, because that's offensive in too many ways for me to want to mention here. But reading through some of them felt a little icky. Just a little icky, right? Like, it wants to be an educational text to allow people to play their fantasy games with disabilities in mind, with disabilities included as a part of the world, to make the world more rich and more varied and give people who in the real world... We'll get back to talking about Orc came back in an unexpected way. We'll get there. We'll talk about the ORC. I can't fault them. Their goal was to make this for 5th edition, the big game on the block. They absolutely did that, but they cannot fix the core issues with 5th edition without rewriting all of 5th edition. It's still 5th edition. I bought this book, and I'm glad I gave them the money, right? Like, I think this is great, and after the OGL stuff, they have publicly stated they're going to be moving away from 5th edition, so whatever products they make next will be system neutral, or maybe it'll be for something, I don't know what it'll be for. I can't say one way or the other, but my purchase went towards funding more products with the heart that this has, so I'm not upset about that. If I were you, I would just donate to their next Kickstarter, or I believe they have a charity they run. I believe you can donate straight to Worm. Am I thinking of someone else? I'm thinking of the Dice people. No, they don't have a charity. Basically, don't buy this. Support their future products, but if you don't play 5e, don't get this. I don't think. On their website, okay? And this is gonna sound bad at first, but follow me here. On their website, they have a free series of roll tables for generating a disability, which it just separates all the named disabilities they include in this book. All the named stuff in this book is in an easy roll table to allow you to generate NPCs that have these disabilities. And it tells you a little bit about it, and allows you to like know what it would be like to be a person. Well, it tells you a bit about what it might be like to be a person with these specific symptoms, so you can include them into your world. You can have NPCs, you can have characters who have a disability, and you roll them randomly, and I've included that in my games, actually. There is, based on Pathfinder 2e, baby. Does 2e have anything about disability in it? I don't know. I know that I know that the combat wheelchair was included in Pathfinder 2nd edition, or a book or a book connected to it. The combat wheelchair, I follow that individual on Twitter. They've been losing their minds about the OGL shit. They're like, no, you can't have the combat wheelchair. You'll fuck it up, wizards. I wrote this. I'm yoinking it from public consumption, Pathfinder or bust. And I respect them for it. But if you go to the website, it is WYRMWORKS, Wormworks Publishing. They have a free downloadable PDF with the roll tables to giving an NPC a random symptom of a disability from this book. You don't need the core book. This book includes a ridiculous number of pre-made NPCs, which might be useful to you. All of them were by Kickstarter backers, and all of the NPCs are meant to reflect the individual's disabilities. The individual's made character, basically their self-interdoses, so that they could see their specific experience in D&D. I think that's really neat. I don't play D&D, so I'm not going to take their stat blocks and use them. It also includes a great number of magic items. Now, as someone with bad vision, I can't see shit, all right? This is a disability, okay? I have a corrective tool, my glasses, which allowed me to see close to normal. A lot of the magic items are like that. They are clearly meant to be assistive devices that exist to help individuals with a specific symptom continue to live an okay life, right? My issue is that we've established that disabilities in this book are represented by a small mechanic and some sort of change to your stats, okay? Almost every assistive device, every magical assistive device that is included in this book just negates the negative aspects of it. And that makes sense, right? The negative aspects of me not being able to fucking see is not being able to fucking see. I put on my glasses, now I can fucking see. They like cancel each other out, right? Not every disability works like that. And also, I hate to say it, if you are going to tie disabilities to a numerical mechanic and then include a loot object that just negates that mechanic, why? They could have made this book just the magic items, saying this is a magic item that is meant to be an assistive object for people who experience this symptom. And it can include the information about including disabilities in your magical world and not erasing them, right? These aren't magical cures. The individual is still disabled, but their life is supported, their adventuring lifestyle is supported by these assistive objects. Why include debuffs or alternative mechanics to these at all if you're just going to immediately then say, also, here's how you allow them to continue to live in normal society in a way that is comfortable for them, and the GM is in charge of putting that in a dungeon somewhere? Like, as a designer, it feels... Quest, search for the battle wheelchair. There are multiple wheelchair options, all of which have specific abilities. Thinking about all that in a sandbox, it's creating situations where you're taking away that assistive device, which is wrong. They do go out of their way to say, hey, don't take away assistive devices as punishment for bad rolls. You can the book says you can temporarily like disable or make an item unavailable, but you can't take it away from them, which is not, I'm sorry, that's not how 5th edition works. That's not how magic items in D&D work. They are loot, they are valuable, they have like a gold number attached to it, and losing them is a very real thing that a player of D&D should reasonably be concerned about. So, it has the right heart. I don't think the execution is right, but most of the issues stem from the fact that this is a book for 5th edition. Most of these problems go back to the design of 5th edition, which were not meant to be inclusive in the first place, right? Whether or not you like 5e, It's just, no. Stealing adventurer stuff is already the most heinous of crimes, and that's system neutral. I mean, rust monsters exist, and they're not terribly high CR. So, yes, but also no. Yes, but also no. Definitely not. The game, stealing adventurer stuff being the most heinous of crimes is common knowledge in the tabletop role-playing game community. It has nothing, that's not a core tenet of the design of 5th edition. I'm sorry. That's just not it. It's just not. So, definitely go to the website, wormworks.com, wormworkspublishing.com? I don't remember. Google it. And get the free roll table as a resource. But I cannot suggest buying this book. It is fucking huge. Also, as a fair warning, this includes a lot of disabilities, which... See, the problem is, in most tabletop role-playing circles, some of the symptoms described would be attributed to monsters in the body horror category. And that's very dismissive because it's not body horror. These people have this disability and they're just trying to live their lives. However, reading the descriptions for a lot of disabilities is kind of hard to stomach. The human body is very intricate and can come out in a lot of ways that most people would feel upset about. So just be warned that reading through the options can be a very hard read, especially if you have anything weird about like mouths or eyes or anything like that. Anything involving leakage, a lot of the disabilities have to deal with that, so you may want to like brace yourself. I still think that like this safety and security of the players at the table are paramount. If you do not have someone at the table who is able to stomach those things, you know, maybe don't force it into a game. But if you are someone who suffers from those disabilities, then having NPCs who also deal with that will probably be incredibly useful to you. Very, very nice. Just very nice. Just don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. And that's the last of my books that I've got. I'm trying to think what else I have coming. I don't think anything is being shipped to me in short order. I've backed another potions source book. It's also for 5e, but I mostly get it for like the cool lore on the ingredients. I love potion systems. I have previously backed a 5e setting book called Fat Magic, which is a food-based world. Kind of has like a Denny's Diner vibe to it. Very Wizard of Ozzy kind of. That's still in development. No when that's being shipped. What else have I backed? I can't check my phone because it's currently being working as my webcam. Let me just real quick pull up my Kickstarter list. See what I have on the way. I backed some dice that have One Piece symbols on them. No idea when that's coming, though. Oh, it wants me to log in. Will it let me log in from this browser? It won't. Never mind, then. Never mind. All right. So, last but not least, the One Piece is real! Last but not least, I said we wanted to, other hand, loop back around to OGL talk. And Z is here, and me and Z have already spoken about this, so sorry you're going to hear it again, hun. But I do not have a particularly positive view of the ORC. For those of you who don't know, the the Open Gaming License is the legal document that Wizards of the Coast is fucking with right now. And because a lot of games over the last two decades have used the OGL as the backbone of their systems, a lot of game systems and a lot of products are realizing, oh shit, if they go through with this, I can't sell my books anymore. This is a problem. So a lot of people have been arguing that Wizards of the Coast should not touch the OGL, should stay as it is, right? And I agree. The OGL 1.0a should stay as it is. They should make new documents for 1D&D moving forward. If they want to gatekeep 1D&D content into a new document, that's fine. It's 4th edition all over again. Fine. But everything printed under the OGL, that document should not legally be able to be fucked with. Especially not considering it's been 2 decades and half the industry has fucking used it. We're risking losing a lot of tabletop gaming history just because this company is fucking around with what should have been settled law, right? This license should be irrevocable, but there's loopholes, so they're gonna revoke it. They're gonna fucking revoke it. But people respond to that not by saying we need better legal protections, right? People want what they know is comfortable. The OGL is comfortable. The status quo of Wizards being the core tentpole and everything else just being a satellite in its orbit is comfortable. People are rushing from 5th edition over to Pathfinder because Pathfinder is a comparable system that looks somewhat similar to what they're used to. It's comfortable. The individuals who are rushing to Pathfinder, not all of them, some of them are actually looking at the mechanics and going, oh wow, I like this better. Most of them are just expecting it to be 5th edition with a small twist. They're not really engaging with the whole product, right? And Paizo is taking advantage of that. Paizo announced that in cooperation with a number of other publishers, they are producing a new open gaming license, not the OGL. They're calling it the ORC, or ORC for short. And that stands for Open RPG Creative License. That's what it was. Creative was the last word. Now, I have an opinion on them abbreviating an abbreviation. Sure, it's cute, it's called ORC, but RPG is already short for a role-playing game. You don't abbreviate an abbreviation, for fuck's sake. So if anything, it should be the ORPGC, but that's nowhere near as catchy, so whatever. I can't do anything about that. The problem is that by announcing they're making their own gaming license, a lot of people cheered and said, we're saved. Paizo has saved us. We have an open gaming license to continue making stuff for. That's not what gaming licenses are for. Also, the legality of being able to put game mechanics behind a license is dubious at best. There's a lot of legal arguments about how most of the content that was in the 5th edition or even the 3rd edition SRDs should already have been available to the public. The original OGL was written as a promise that they won't sue you if you use some of their stuff. Not all their stuff, some of their stuff. But the stuff they said you could use, had they been challenged in a court of law, would most likely have been ruled basically public domain, Creative Commons even. Oh, we got an ad starting soon. I can't stop it. Hold on. Can I snooze it? It will not allow me to snooze it. Alright. Tee-hee, we rolled a 20 on this abbreviation. Wouldn't you agree, gamers? I guess it's running a minute ad, so I'll just chill here for a second. How's the weather? It's been a little chilly on my end. I haven't really spent a whole lot of time outside. We keep getting cold snaps that come from the north, you know? It's not great. My chickens are kind of enjoying it though. They're like big and poofy and round, and they're like, oh, cluck, 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 cluck. It's nice and cool outside. They're very feathered chickens, so the heat don't really get to them. They don't really like it too much. 46 seconds on the ad says. Anyone actually seeing an ad? Is this just bullshit? Just wasting my time? I imagine most of you are working with ad blockers anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Again, it would be very funny if I used this 1 minute slice to announce something really important and only have it be available via the VOD. If everyone's watching an ad, that would be so funny. Actually, this is really funny for, like, Easter eggs. I should probably, like, do something silly during this bit. Or at least have a be right back screen. 6 seconds. It's just you and me here. It's just you and me. All right. We appear to be back. Welcome back, everyone. The problem with the Orc license is I don't think we need that license at all. We already have Creative Commons, right? Creative Commons was created after the OGL was created in 2000. So, to be fair, there wasn't an alternative back then. But we have Creative Commons. And if you don't know this, Creative Commons has multiple subforms that allow variations of accessibility. It's not just, I put my work in Creative Commons and suddenly everyone can do anything with it. No, that's not how it works. Specific game text can be put under Creative Commons 3.0, where you cannot replicate it, but you can, like, reference it, right? You can't print and sell lasers and feelings. The game text, right? That's under 3.0. However, the mechanics of lasers and feelings were released under 4.0, at which point you can remix and resell and do whatever you want to the mechanic. That's how I make my games. That's how a lot of lasers and feelings hacks makes money. The original author just doesn't want people printing out their game and selling that at conventions. So there's multiple levels of Creative Commons, and you can put specific sections of text under a specific subversion of Creative Commons to give you the level of protection that you want, while still allowing parts of it to be open to the public to use as you desire, right? There's no good reason why we should need an exclusive license made by a specific lawyer company. Like, granted, they're going to put it into, like, a trust. Paizo will not control the license once it's done. It'll be its own thing. We don't need it. It's entirely performative, if I'm being nice about it. When the OGL was created, it was given to us as a way to allow us to create in the world of Dungeons and Dragons, but internally, it was a way to get other people to make products to fluff up D&D's value. That's all it ever was. The original creator, he says shit now, but the original intention, it's in interviews, was to allow the third-party market to make the products that Wizards of the Coast themselves didn't want to risk making. The stuff that they didn't think would sell well, but there was still a market for. And by having a larger library, it makes the base game look like a more interesting prospect to a buyer. And that's done 5e very, very well. Creative Commons, no one controls that. Yes, it is performative, that's the point. It's a big middle finger to Hasbro and Wizards with over 60 RPG devs, teams, companies on board. That's my sticking point, though. And it very much has to do with Paizo's activity. Earlier in the stream, we talked about how Paizo's doing a goddamn victory lap on Twitter right now. They've put out a bunch of new hashtags like Paizo fam, Paizo community, you guys did this, we did this together, corporate family speak. They're taking advantage of this situation to spin themselves as the best alternative, and it's working. And from a business standpoint, I can't blame them. That's their goddamn job. However, the Orc license being what everyone is latching onto, it's not just that it's performative, it's that it's a performance that's working. People are latching onto Paizo not because they actually like Paizo's games, but because they've never experienced a world where there wasn't a single tentpole that everyone had to defend, or else they would take our fantasy elves away. People are treating Paizo like they treated Wizards of the Coast before this OGL fiasco, and it's not great. It's not great. What worries me is that it continues to push this narrative that we need someone to save us, that we need someone to write an open gaming license, or otherwise gaming is closed forever. And I understand that no one in this chat probably even no one watching this VOD, no one in my audience who has listened to me talk about games for any amount of time are drinking the 5e Kool-Aid. At the very least, anyone watching this knows that Wizards of the Coast are a bunch of shits and 5e is not the perfect game. Okay? Baseline. Okay? A large majority of people who are diehard 5e fanatics do not have that perspective. They don't. And they've gone from drinking from one cup of Kool-Aid to another cup of Kool-Aid. It's still fucking Kool-Aid. They're still fucking drinking it. The only difference is who gave them the cup. Now, Orc being controlled by a trust fund and not Paizo specifically does mean there is some protection. People who create products using the Orc license will most likely never have to deal with a rug pull like 5e creators are experiencing right now. And that's good. That's positive. I still think that they should just start using Creative Commons for what it was made for. There's so much good stuff released under Creative Commons, and there are protections written into the Commons that will allow people to use parts of your stuff, but not all of it. It will still allow you to print stuff by yourself without risking someone pirating it or reselling it in a prettier package than you. And that's what bugs me. But then that's what's always bugged me, right? Chick-fil-A, J.K. Rowling, Wizards of the Coast, Hobby Lobby. There are institutions in this world, society! There are institutions in this world where it is very, very clearly documented that they are pieces of shit and you should not give them your money. And yet, people will support something if it makes them feel happy until the cows come home, regardless of Activision Blizzard, for fuck's sake. I understand they make Overwatch. I understand you like Overwatch. They are abusing their workers. Maybe don't give them money. And this is, again, society. There's a bar, if the only place you have to shop is Walmart, I'm not saying you're a bad person, that you're directly supporting child slavery over in the Middle East, but, you are, but what can you do? What can you fucking do? Right? When it comes to stuff like Chick-fil-A, J.K. Rowling, Wizards of the Coast, eat different sandwiches, read different wizard school books, play different tabletop role-playing games, and it just sucks knowing that people will just so readily, this information is available. Paizo was in the news as recently as this last winter for having their group, their people form a union because they were suffering abuse in the workplace. I don't personally understand how people can be so willingly ignorant. But then society, that's just human nature. People don't like hearing about things that make them uncomfortable. They don't like being told to change how they live their lives. They don't like being inconvenienced. They like what is comfortable. They like what is familiar. They like Dungeons and Dragons. And I'm pretty certain that's where I want to end off tonight, on that zinger of a final line. I hope you guys enjoyed this somewhat. The flesh tuber thing is we don't do this frequently. And I always worry that it's not what you came here for. And I hope that me yelling my opinions at you for 2.5 hours was worth something. Honestly, I don't think I said anything that I haven't said already on Twitter. So if you follow me there, you probably knew all of this stuff. And now this is in the public record forever. All of these hot takes that I've said, there's clips of them. They can be brought up to cancel me later. Golly gee, I sure hope I didn't say anything too inflammatory. Y'all remember when the Big Eyes Small Mouths guy did a Kickstarter for a new edition of Big Eyes Small Mouths based off of D20 math, and he named it Anime 5e, and everyone bought it because because 5e players are sheep and they can't read. Oh,